Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. This is your host, the most charismatic man in entertainment, with a special guest. That's right, you wonder who he is? I'm going to introduce him. He is a computer science teacher by trade who also teaches CP on first aid. So if you ever need a call, don't call Ghostbusters. He's also the founder and CEO of Medhen House, where they produce video games and animation. He's also working on a new video game called Dev TV and a new animation called Attack of Gossip. Let's introduce Doug Medhen. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I gotta say, I love that the podcast title, man. That is like one of my when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, I'm instantly in love. Like I love that. Oh
I
yeah, no, I
appreciate it.
do. It's like yeah, it was because like what it wasn't just the name in all honesty that like attracted me because I was like listening to some of your stuff and like I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, we,
But
we talk about the hard hitting questions here. The reason why I talk about this stuff is because if we don't talk about it, we won't. And we're gonna keep it light though. We won't get too controversial in this one. But let's
mm,
start off. Talk to me about your trade. You're a computer science teacher, and talk about your production company. How's that journey been, and has the pandemic affected you personally or professionally?
Uh, well, professionally, hell yeah, in terms of like, because I was teaching for UCSD's extension course. When the pandemic was seriously starting to ramp up, pretty much all the classes and even my future prospects like ID Tech, they were basically dried up. I think ID Tech still wanted to do an online only thing, but uh, yeah, that just. Mm-mm. And in terms of the company, the Mad Hen House, honestly, that's what I just basically went full steam ahead with that. Just kept working on it. Eventually, I got our animator Brittany Santana. Uh, she's a fucking genius. And we were starting to put out more animations, tutorials. I even got the whole thing registered trademark through the volunteer lawyers program.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I was thinking of like hopefully I'll be able to go to the Black Chamber of Commerce, and I really hate using the race card, but like it still makes sense because it's like, hi, I'm black, I'm trying to open this business. Can you help me? And yeah, but like on the same time, I got to take advantage of what you got. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Nah, there ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Sometimes you have to do that to get to the next step. And but I do like animations. I've been fortunate enough to do voiceover auditions for a lot of them, and yeah, I think. Let me ask you: is it a big misconception that animation is a easy form of art that people do? Because I noticed this a lot of work that goes into preparing those kind of those shows and stuff like that. Do you think it's not taken as seriously as it should be?
Well, I mean, yes and no, in my personal opinion, because like the thing is, you have to understand, like a lot of production companies. I mean, a lot of them, they know that like animators slash artists, they're a dime a dozen. So they're just gonna be like animators and artists are they're more or less gonna be. I hate to be that guy, but underappreciated. Because I myself, in when it comes to like game development, right? I'm a technical artist. I know my way around code. I know my way around 3D modeling. But like, if they're gonna be like, oh, okay, this guy's a technical artist, but this person is a programmer, and this programmer is actually working relatively cheap considering how he's a programmer. We'll take this person over you because fuck you. That's pretty much all it boils down to.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that angle, but like on the no part, because like still you gotta understand there are some artists that are really, really, really just legitimately good. I mean, right off the bat, I don't know if you know Studio Ghibli, the guys behind like Spirited Away, Princess
I've heard
Mononoke.
about him. I've heard about
Yeah.
him.
I mean, if you watched any of their movies, I mean, they are just beautifully animated in every fucking way. So it's like, oh, cheese and crackers. It is just So on one hand, it is, on the other hand, it isn't. If that makes any sense.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of impact that I'm not too familiar with animation. We're gonna explore that a little more, but first, let me ask you the number one topic I've been covering so far. Um, the Capitol Hill riot protesting, whoever I don't know what they calling it now. Um, we all seen it.
I wouldn't
What
call
is
it a
your
protest. I would call it a fucking coup. That was a
yeah? It's
coup attempt and a half.
everybody have different opinions, and I'm glad to have you on because I've been asking different people so far what they thought about it. I'm a believer. I'm gonna let you answer first. I believe that the whole thing was staged. I'll tell you why in a little bit, but let me know what your thoughts were and what did you take away from that situation?
Well, first things first. When those writers or whatever you want to call them, after that officer died, right off the bat, my mind instantaneously went to the whole. Wow, I guess blue lives don't matter anymore. I mean, yeah, just to be that morbid guy. Yeah, it's true. Because it's not just that dude. You had like another officer that was getting crushed, and he was like yelling for help, and let's not even then you have like some areas of the Capitol building weren't even guarded to begin with. You had
Right.
like one I forgot the guy's name, and I feel like a
Is it
jackass.
Mitch McConnell?
No. But there was this one Capitol police officer who was leading a crowd away because in the next room Pence was there, and they were calling for to hang his ass, and like it was this
Uh,
one Capitol officer. No other guard was around, and he was just leading the crowd away from Mike Pence. Look, say what you want. I mean, I certainly do about the vice president. I think he's a fucking dumbass retard. But what that Capitol police officer did, oh my god, no, he is a fucking hero for doing what he did because he got masked like a son of a bitch by like hundreds of people, and he was just leading them away from Mike Pence. I mean, they were calling to hang his ass for God's sake. And
right.
and don't even get me started with all the all those QAnon conspiracy things. I know it's pronounced QAnon, but I want to take the racial derogatory of those that are in a same-sex relations and just apply it to those idiots because queer is one that, like, if you just say QAnon, it just makes more sense. I'm not saying anything bad about the same-sex relations. I'm just saying, like, take that hateful term and plug it into the QAnon conspiracy theorists, and like that just it makes things a whole lot better because like some of the things that they've been saying, like that one QAnon shaman who had like the horns and shit and was tatted out the balls,
Yeah.
was peddling some really, really, really stupid shit. Have you actually looked into what the QAnon conspiracies were all about? Like,
I've heard very vague things about it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Do you know what it is about?
I yeah. I took a dive into that rabbit hole once because while doing our game development bit, one of the things I wanted to make fun of were conspiracy theories, specifically QAnon. So I was writing this one thing up called NGAR. It's about like uh, it's a parody on the National Rifle Association and how they promote certain bullshit. And one of the radio segments they were touching up on was called Read Between the Lines with this fictitious host. And the thing is, some of the shit that they have in QAnon is just fucking mind. First of all, they're peddling this miracle mineral substance, which is bleached, diluted with like acid and other chemicals that induce vomiting, but apparently is a cure for the virus. So take it.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, one of my other favorite ones was apparently Nancy Pelosi's a pedophile, and that she has a child slave ring that is trying to overthrow the government. Because yes,
You-
and it just goes on from there. And my God, you just want to like look at this shit. You're like, how do people believe this? How can you I mean, it's just a product of. I know it's the product of the times we live in and all, but Jesus Christ, it's just.
yeah. I won't touch that because I'm not too familiar with it, but I do know there's a lot of people that is that theory about when you look at the Epstein Island, Jeff Epstein, Harvey
Mm-hmm.
Weinstein, all of these politicians. I won't say it's true or not, but I know a lot of people do feel there is something going on because I remember reading about this whole scandal. I forgot was it the Pizzagate scandal? It was
Oh, you
stuff
talking
like
about
that.
Pizzagate?
Like
Yeah.
I don't put nothing past this government. All I'm saying, I there's too much fishy stuff going on, so I'm not gonna say if it's true or not. But there's certain things about the government that we don't know, and I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to start throwing out conspiracy theories that means no sense. But in terms of conspiracy theories, I do think I'm a stage. Why? Look, I'm one of those people that kind of see it from both sides. I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. And then I'm actually a question after I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my thing is this, right? You get pulled over for broken tail light. The cops call backup. 5 officers come to the scene for broken tail light, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you telling me that a bunch of people invade a federal building, no armed security guards, no FBI, no CIA, no local law enforcement, no military. They just run up in there, do what they got to do, and leave. I never seen that before. And then the funny part about it is the next day, the FBI invaded Brooklyn and arrested 17 black teens for gang violence. Which, again, I'm not advocating for violence, so they probably are best served to be picked up off the street. But that goes to show you why would they show up in Brooklyn but not have enough time to show up to a federal building to help out? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me how that would happen. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree. But let me ask you in regarding this, a lot of people felt like this situation showed white supremacy, like white people can get away with doing anything because they're white. Like there's a video of a black officer trying to um trying to get the rioters from standing down, but he's running away from them as he's trying to do it. And he unarmed, he picked up like a some type of object and started swinging it somewhat, but he
Mm-hmm.
would run away and stuff like that. Do you feel like that was a way to represent white supremacy?
Uh, well, I mean, wow, that's kind of loaded.
And
Um,
yeah.
but
Well, I'll rephrase it for you in this aspect. When the protests and stuff was happening,
mm,
when they were doing the riot, protests and riots, burn down stuff, there was videos of police shooting pepper spray and all these different things into the crowd. People were getting shot. But in this situation, the police didn't do nothing. No police were called, and they just ran wild and acted crazy. So, do you feel like this event kind of created more racial tension?
oh, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, pretty much, because like you have because like people, it wasn't just you that was brought that point up. Like a bunch of people said if it was just like black BLM protesters going into the Capitol building, they'd be shot from every angle and the kitchen sink. But I mean, yeah, it raises oh my god, racial tensions. I mean, it just does. It's just how it is. It's like you have to understand in those a lot, because there were actual like white supremacists, white nationalists there. They were rocking shit like Confederate flags. They were rocking they were spreading all types of mixed messages, right down to talking about how this is a steal, and the globalists are taking over with their agenda. And yeah, it's they're basically putting us into that category as well. And yeah, it will raise racial tensions. I mean, that's just that. But like it's the guy that you were talking about earlier. He picked up a baton. That's the guy who actually led the crowd away from Pence, because he was in the
Oh,
administration. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That was the guy that was just leading them away and from Pence because he was in that other room, and again they just wanted to hang him. So yeah, I mean like good on him, I suppose. But like, yeah, in answer to your question, it does raise racial tension. And it also raises all that fucking hypocrisy as well. Because remember, Trump said if it was Black Lives Matter, he'd have the National Guard, people like getting arrested, put in 10 years. And those rioters came in. I mean, yeah, they're getting arrested here and there, but like nowhere near the same response. And and like it or not, I I and I know how bad this is going to sound to them, to those writers. This was a win for them if you think about it. Because think of that, there isn't anywhere near as big of a response for them. You'll have like some people getting arrested. Yeah, you'll have they'll just say, "Oh, the Democrats, they're just whining," and yeah, they'll just say what they're saying, blah 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 blah. But like more or less, like yeah, they felt like they felt vindicated. Just look at just Google like some of the responses. Some people will say they don't have any regrets. Some say they did it for patriotism. Even that former Air Force veteran who got shot dead. That dumb bitch that rushed a Capitol Police officer got shot dead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Her grandfather or father said that she was a patriot. I'm like, no, she wasn't. She's a fucking treasonous, traitorous bitch. And I will have no regrets saying that because, you're right. And on top of that, she had no common sense. You rush down a fucking armed guard and you're surprised that you're shot. No.
Yeah.
She wanted to, like, either she wanted to die because she had some hidden suicide tendency or she wanted to be a martyr. Either way, like, that's what went down. Like, it's like they like her goal was accomplished and they felt like they had a win. Like it or not, like that's just how that cookie crumbles.
Yeah, so it's multi-layered. So I've been trying to scour through everybody, seeing a lot of opinions. Another opinion from a lot of people, white and black, Hispanic, everybody, is the fact that it's a hypocrisy going on. So during the protesting, everybody knows about Antifa, but a lot of these protesters would turn left. And they said business owners would get killed, buildings were being burned down, stores were being looted. There's even videos of cops just standing there watching people steal and loot. And then this happens, and the same thing happens where the cops are just standing by. But I guess the biggest reason why a lot of people feels hypocritical is the fact that they calling those people who stormed Capitol Hill terrorists, but they don't call Antifa terrorists when they've been causing billions of dollars of destruction for the last year. Do you think that's an honest opinion that someone to have, or is that just another conspiracy theory?
To be honest, that's probably just a conspiracy theory. But like in all honesty, you can't. The problem with that is like you're as much as I want to group all of Antifa with those like rioters and looters. First of all, like whenever you're seeing like protests anywhere, it doesn't matter where, just anywhere. There's bound to be rioters. There's bound to be looters. They just mix themselves in with that crowd. Like if you look at the record overall, right? With the Black Lives Matter movement, et cetera, they've been mostly peaceful. Even they disperse peacefully. Yeah, you'll have a couple of riots and stuff like that, but overall, if you look at the record, like the whole, like all of those protests, they've been largely peaceful. They just go in, do what they need to do, and then get the fuck out. Yeah, you'll have rioters, but like those, I don't want to say they're outliers, but that's just the nature of the beast. They always mix themselves in because that's just the way things are. With this particular, the reason why it's so different here with this particular one, because like, keep in mind, the right wingers, they had an armed protest outside of the Michigan Capitol, and it was largely peaceful. It was intimidating as fuck. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I think that, and they were protesting out of sheer retardation because of the virus, which is fucking stupid. No, it is. I'm not gonna make any illusion to it. Those people were fucking retarded.
Yeah, no, I firmly agree. Yeah.
I mean, like, I want to go back to work. I want to go to the bars and dance and shit, but I'm not gonna do that because of the fucking virus. Hell, anyway. But like, anyway, the main difference here is that protest was like had that much of an angry mob, and they just said fuck it. Like what started out as just stop the steal, they just said fuck it, and they just wanted to go for it, and they just wanted to just like, in my eyes, yeah, they just wanted to destroy everything. And like if they had it their way, they would have hung Pence. They would have like killed the smellocrats. Sorry, whenever I use terminology, I
It's all
use
good. Don't worry about it.
Republicans and retardicans and Democrats smellocrats. Anyway, they would have gone after the Democrats. They would have killed. They would have hung Pence. They would have actually like just said, now that we're all said and done, let's have Trump be king instead. Yeah. So like the main differences between the two is while Antifa, yeah, I mean like you will have those riots, they sucked, but like largely they were mostly peaceful protests as opposed to what went down last week. I mean that's just the biggest difference in my
Right.
personal opinion.
Now, let me ask you, because this is I'm throwing out conspiracy theories that a lot of people are throwing out, but I kind of see this one. A lot of people was talking about the Black Lives Matter protests and how Antifa would raid the protesters. And I think you mentioned it earlier where you say they would infiltrate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's a fair assessment that it could have possibly been the same situation this one? Because there's an image and reports that the Trump supporters were behind a barricade protesting, and then a group of vigilantes decided to storm the Capitol. Do you think it was all Trump supporters? Do you think Antifa probably was paid to infiltrate and get destructive? How do you feel about that conspiracy theory?
I mean that conspiracy. No, like no way. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a bunch of. Don't get me wrong. Look, were there anarchists in that riot? Of course, there's no doubt about it. We're talking about the Capitol here. That is the primest of prime targets. Every anarchist's wet dream to just go in and burn the motherfucker down. I mean, that's just a given. Like, of course there were anarchists in there. Was Antifa paid to do? No. Fucking phone. Sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it.
No. Like, I don't think Antifa was paid to do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there aren't any leftist anarchists, because of course there are. Just like there are right-wing anarchists. It's just a thing. People always just want to destroy what you've got, whether it be out of jealousy or hate or whatever. Point is, they were just there. I don't think they were paid. I mean, like, no. I mean, like, what would they gain possibly out of this? What, like, oh,
getting Trump out of office.
Huh?
Getting Trump out of office.
That's going to happen at the end of the week.
Well, they're trying to impeach him now, so they're using this incident to impeach him now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have him impeached. Well, to be fair, much as I want to say, like, shit. Where's my train of thought? Oh, now I remember. To be fair, Trump riled that crowd something fierce. Giuliani did not help the situation either. Nor did that one Republican who later got arrested. Live streaming him breaking into the Capitol help matters at all. Do I think they paid Antifa? No, Antifa didn't. I don't think Antifa got paid for it, because at the end of the day, you could say, yes, Trump will be out of office all the sooner. Yeah, that's true, but like the loss would have been much greater, especially if those rioters were successful. The loss would have been much worse than the gains, you know? I mean, like, they didn't, I don't think they got paid to do it. Yeah. I don't think they got paid to do it. I mean, were there anarchists in there? Yeah. But were they paid? No. That's just the ends don't justify the means. The loss would be too great if the rioters were successful in doing what they needed to do, you know?
Right. It's just something. It just doesn't sit right with me how this whole thing kind of played out. Like, this is the Capitol building. You can't walk into the DMV and do something like that. The cops will be swarming the place. You can't even go on McDonald's and not pay for a small drink and without the cops chasing you down. I'm not saying I agree with these conspiracy theories, but just something about it don't sit right with me that a bunch of people can invade a federal building let alone one of the top federal buildings of the United States, and the FBI, the top law enforcement agents don't show up, but they have enough time to go to other states and lock people up. I I don't know. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I just think this whole thing just doesn't make any sense how they got away with this. I don't know. Maybe it was Trump. I don't know if any, Nancy Pelosi. I know a lot of people like throw her name out there. She was part of it. I don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that people would storm a federal building and no backup, no law enforcement shows up to stop the situation. So I think the whole thing ended up ending when they decided to leave. I don't even think the FBI even showed up, right? So yeah, a lot of conspiracy theories there. Who knows? We will be talking about this for a while. But let me ask you something.
Mm,
Um, the the protests last year.
mhm.
Um, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, a lot of issues with the police. Do you think defunding the police is probably going to be the best option?
Well, I mean, like, because a lot of people don't know what defund the police actually means. It doesn't mean
That's
take
true.
away money from the police. It just means no, to put money towards stuff that put money towards things that people can handle than the police. You don't send a police officer after some dude who's going like who's like apparently schizophrenic having an episode. You know, that's just going to end badly. In fact, it did end badly when that one cop shot that one schizo's caregiver for no fucking reason. It's all that's been tried and done. And like so they're just saying, no, instead of this, let's just allocate this money to people who know how to handle these things. That's why shit. That's why when someone's ODing, they don't send cops anymore. They just send firefighters to do the job. And they because firefighters are better trained to handle that stuff because
Right.
they've gone through that training. So it makes sense, yeah, to like defund the police, but that's not so cut and like defunding the police is not cut and dry. It's not taking money from the cops. It's just putting money towards other programs with other specialists that know how to handle said situations. You don't
Right.
send you don't send a registered nurse to fucking do hostage negotiations. You don't send a cop to fucking perform to remove an appendix. No, you put the money where you put the money towards the areas that of people that know what they're doing. So yeah,
Right.
I'm for defunding the police, but for practical reasons, because it fucking makes sense. You don't make a cop defuse a you don't have a beat cop defuse a bomb. You have a bomb expert defusing a fucking bomb. You don't that's just yes. Because again,
Right.
has been tried and true. When that one black dude got shot, and he was a caregiver. He was shot by a cop when he was trying to calm his calm that one dude down. He was like a schizo, and he got like he was going through some shit, and like the black and the caregiver was on scene trying to calm him down, and the police officer shot the caregiver for no fucking reason.
Yeah. I watched a video from Vice. A bunch of officers came together to talk about it. And one of the things they did agree on was the fact that yeah, they fully agreed that they should reallocate the budget because cops shouldn't show up to a mental illness case, right?
Mm,
But I think the problem with the defund of police, even though I think we both agree on what it should be, a lot of people don't agree with that. And one of the organizations that I've been critical on is the Black Lives Matter organization because they just want to get rid of police altogether. My only thing is, okay, if you get rid of the police, who's going to keep people in check? You want gang members to do that? You want the Batmans of the world to do that? So what does that entail? And I think the problem is we haven't came up with an actual conclusion of what defund the police is, because some people agree reallocate budget. Some people want police demolished. I think for me, reallocate the budget and educate the police system because a lot of officers, let me point this out. Derek Chauvin, right? He was a guy who's had 18 violations or complaints from people he interacted with, right?
mm,
The only reason why he hasn't gotten prosecuted for any of those is because they look at his record. He's a 20-year veteran. I think a little longer than that. So on average, he averages a complaint a year. So for them, it's not worth it, right? And he's also best friends with the captain and the sergeants of the police force in that area. So when they see these violations, he's buddy buddy with them. So they like, oh well, we go to tennis clubs together, and our wives do netting together. So, he's a good friend. We're gonna just let this slide. And I think that's the biggest issue with the police is that the higher ups of police aren't doing enough job. For instance, I found out about the quotas. The quotas things are real. After like the towards the end of the month, they have to get quotas, but the reason why is because the higher ups force you to get those quotas, and if you don't, you get written up, and they send it to the superiors. So essentially, if you don't get those quotas, you don't fulfill it, you get in trouble for it. Another thing too is there's not a fair baseline for all police. I know places like LA, New York City, with the most, biggest populations in the country, they need a higher police force. But one of the common things I notice is that every police branch operates differently. Like some cops, they get 25 an hour. Some cops get McDonald's wages where they're working 15 hours for, $10.75.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to also deal with they don't have the budget to have police cameras. Some of them don't even have uh any equipment besides a gun. So it I think we have to, like you said, reallocate the budget and also really restructure our police force because there's so much wrong with it. I could go on a whole tirade about it, but to keep it short, I think it all starts up at the higher ups. We have to start cleansing them out. We have to start putting people qualified for the jobs because Derek Chauvin shouldn't be walking free. He shouldn't be out on bail, having a good time, eating steak. And to be honest, I don't see him doing jail time. I think people, because we've been having all these incidents, people are kind of forgetting about. I won't say forget, but the chasing Derek Chauvin is kind of on the backlist of things to do. I'm calling right now. When his trial comes up in a couple months, he's going to get maybe 2 years of probation, and he's going to be sent home. We, as a country, we have to do better policing. We have way more arrests and people in prison than any other country. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I think the only way we're going to do that is if we demand an actual change from lawmakers to um to implement those changes. Do you think that's a right way to go, or
I mean, yeah, that is a right way to go, but like, not to uh, like some of those that are actually saying like abolish the police altogether. The thing is though that okay, for the record, I'm not for that. I'm just putting that out there right now. But the reason why they're saying it is actually because this has been done before. There are cities, I think it was Jersey and a couple of other states that have straight up abolished the police system altogether, and they live those cities live relatively quiet lives. However, I don't think it should be abolished in big cities because they're huge metropolis hubs, like they're big targets, so you can't really do anything about that. So I'm guessing it's a case by case. So I'm guessing it would be. I guess you could say it's a case. It should be put on a case by case scenario, but that's a different story altogether. But like, I really do think that like the higher ups really need to be like just weeded out because you mentioned quota systems, and that's true. And one of the and one of my lovely case studies that I love using that puts politics that I love showing that uses politics over actual good police work was HBO's The Wire, because oh my god, the way they like just shortened everything down, like how they talked about how crime is nothing more than a stats game, and that how they have to get their stats up. In what was it, season 3 or 4? One of the police police colonels or lieutenants. He basically allocates 3 districts that weren't where drug enforcement wasn't a priority, and basically moved all the drug dealers and drug addicts over there. Meanwhile, like the neighborhood gets cleaned up. He gets sent a ton of letters stating all the good that he did. When his superiors find out, they take those letters, give it to the then mayor, and the then mayor at that time was all like, "Hey, maybe we should continue on with this. Just let's not say it's legalizing drugs, you know? I mean, like, so it's that kind of shit that, like, you know, still, like, if you don't think that this kind of shit doesn't happen, then no, you're a fucking moron. People are people, and they're going to be wanting to keep their jobs in the public sector over actually do some work. I mean,
Right.
just look at Mitch McConnell and how complicit he was with the entire fucking administration this year, or for the past 4 years, excuse me, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree. It's, you know, to be honest, man, like, I do have faith in the government, but I can't say I put my 100% trust in them, because this, a lot of things that go on. Like, I remember I was watching the House committee when they was doing the whole Trump impeachment for the first 3 years. They did a trial, and they was talking about Obamacare. And one of the creators of Obamacare, Jonathan Gruber, I'll never forget this quote. He said, "American people are stupid and they like basic economic education." It's stuff like that that goes on that makes me realize, like, is the government really on our best interest? And I, for me, especially with Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, it kind of mind boggles me a little bit that these people are 80 years old and they still keep getting reelected. Like, I'm not saying they're racist, right? But I just, should we have term limits for our government? Because there's no reason why people who aren't looking out for the best interest of our people keep being put in power. But then again, also too, that also goes to our um that speaks to our principles, because Nancy Pelosi got reelected last week, if I'm not mistaken. So that means that people still like her. But now we're looking at the 2K stimulus checks, another distraction that was going on, and then the Capitol Hill happened, where they refused to play. Nobody was willing to play ball all year. They've been playing around and having tiffs and taking vacations while people were struggling to get money. Um, I I think we should um be more onto the government. I think we can't uprise, and because they control everything. But I think if we demand more, um, we should be able to achieve a lot more than we are. Let me ask you something on a completely different side note. Even though it's not the same, since you do computer science, I want to
Mhm.
ask you about big tech. Um, do you think there's a problem with our country with free speech, especially on the internet? Do you think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, um, because there's been a lot of reports about people's get accounts being flagged. Trump's account was taken down. A lot of people will post something, and the fact check thing will come up, and then their whole account is suspended. Do you think we're shifting to a dangerous time?
Okay. Is there a conversation of free speech to be had when it comes to that? Absolutely, 1,000% yes. Um, However, 2 things of note. First and foremost, when Trump got permanently banned from Twitter, I was praising it. In fact, it's should mention Twitter, because I actually got my account suspended for 12 hours because I basically said I hope Trump dies from the virus. I swear I don't regret it at all. I mean, like, my account's been reactivated because I had to delete those tweets. So, hey, I will not apologize. I really wanted him dead from the fucking virus. I mean, he let the fucking virus in, for God's sake. Look what happened. But anyway, um, anyway, back on the topic at hand. Is there a conversation to be had? Yes, 1,000% yes. However, and here's the second point that I was trying to bring up. The thing is, though, I am kind of the wrong person to ask The reason being is because I fucking hate social media. I cannot stand social media because we willingly give up our own privacy. I have to use it mainly to try to push the fucking company name. That's it. I usually don't like making tweets and stuff except when Trump got permanently banned, and I praised it and I said, fuck that retard. Da, 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 da. But other than that, like, I try to stay far away from making any more personal posts. Like I used to when it first came out, but I was in college and I didn't know what the fuck I was thinking because I was an idiot. But now that I'm now that social media is here and I've seen what that kind of monster has that it has evolved into, I can honestly say that without a doubt, I fucking hate social media. I wish it was dead, but like I have to keep it because it's a necessary evil. So you're asking the wrong person as to whether or not we should like be doing that because I hate social media. Fucking hate it. I cannot stand it.
No, yeah, social media. I like it, but I also don't like it, especially when it comes to the privacy thing. Because I'm seeing it, especially now with the cases going on. It's funny. Uh, just to bring it back a little bit, when the whole protesting and stuff was going on, and people was looting and stealing TVs and stuff, I remember California passed a law, Penal Code 631, if I'm not mistaken, and it was basically a law that they passed under the bush that nobody knew about, where if you stole any property, if you moved any federal property or personal property, even within 50 to 75 yards from the property, that that was a depending on the level of offense, that was 1 to 3 years in jail and a maximum fine of $20,000. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, what's going on is that the FBI and government law enforcement, they're using social media to track people down from that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's dangerous. I think, especially in terms of free speech, I'm seeing it time and time again where I don't post anything about my opinion online anymore because I noticed that if it doesn't, like, Facebook has been shown to hold prejudice towards, um maybe prejudice is the right word, I'm not sure, but they've had instances where they shown disdain for Trump supporters. So a lot of people who might post a pro Trump tweet, or prolific people like, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, people of Republican nature, or right leaning, they have shown their hands. They've deleted their accounts, they've suspended accounts and stuff like over because they don't agree with them. And I think we're going to a dangerous time where we're now censoring free speech. And I know they're private companies, they can do that, but it's getting dangerous that you can't share an opinion. Now, if you share like something false, like, oh, election fraud with, Russian collusion and stuff like that, whatever the case may be, yeah, they probably have grounds for that. But if you show disdain, if you show support for someone they don't like, and you get your account suspended, I think we're moving to a dangerous time where now people don't feel safe online anymore. Um, but I digress. I digress. Let's kind of move away from conspiracy theories and let's talk about you for a little bit. Unless you got something you want to get off your chest on that.
I mean, like the only thing, because like for the longest time, like the longest time, like Zuckerberg, Facebook, they refuse to like basically take down any misinformation like ad stuffs. So I mean, like take from that what you will. I mean, they still upheld their end. I think that they're just taking it down because like they're just going after people that's starting to incite bad shit. Twitter basically said they'd go after people that spread misinformation because to be fair, they do have a point. Misinformation has been spreading like wildfire. I mean, like you still have anti-vaxxers pushing. You have anti-vaxxers pushing the whole down bleach. Fucking a, like I just said at the start of this when I was looking into the queer and on conspiracy theories. The miracle mineral substance, which is bleach diluted with acid and other shit. So, like, you know, like They should go after, misinformation and stuff like that. But again, is there a conversation to be had on privacy? Absolutely. You're just asking the wrong person about that.
Fair enough. I won't dwell into that, but one of the things that stood out to me about this whole thing was the Hunter Biden thing going on, right? When that happened, how almost every platform was censoring that story. You couldn't share it. If you did share it, they suspended your account until you deleted it. And it just kind of got me thinking that, are we living in a time where they people only go after people that they don't like, you know? Because I look at it, I'm a broad, I like to look at everything. So I first started looking at from when they started impeaching Trump the moment he came in office, right? They spent 3 years, over $75 million trying to get this man out of office, right? And then 2020 rolls around, and they're doing the exact same thing that he was talking about, where they just, unless his name is thrown in the into the article, they kind of just don't want to deal with it. That whole scandal right there just proves how much of, I won't say fraud, but how much of big tech and media plays a big role in what we perceive. But I digress. I don't feel like rehashing all of that, because we could talk about that all day. But let's talk
Agreed.
about you for a little bit. Um, Attack on Gossip. So uh you mentioned it's a three-part miniseries. Tell me about that. How you came up with that, and what the concept is.
Honestly, it was the whole thing of the misinformation that was spreading around, and I was just all like, "Oh my god, what if I were to take that? Wait." So I was like, "What if I take that? But what would the context be? Oh, I know. This someone named the Masked Avenger would be making up all types of random shit, some of which would actually turn out to be true, but and would post it in something called the Inquirer. But who would I set it under? The Attack on Titan universe. So if you ever watched Attack on Titan, I basically it takes place during the time skip. So they're like the cast is between the ages of 18 and 20 at this point, and essentially like they're hunting down someone called the Masked Avenger, who's been posting weird, wild, crazy stories about like the main cast of Attack on Titan. One of which involves a character named Armin, and then and how he likes to cross dress. As it turns out, it's actually true. Now, the reason why the cross dressing thing got brought up is because in Attack on Titan, he actually had to dress up like a girl for because one of his plans actually involved that to stage like this fake kidnapping or something. It's a long story about that, but anyway. So as soon as it's brought out into the open that he still dresses up in women's clothes, everybody starts looking at him. He's like, I gotta admit, it's comfortable.
It sounds like a pretty cool project that you're working on.
Yeah, our parody series, because because like what I like to do is take all of our some of the funniest things or some of the best things that in pop culture right now, right, and just apply like real random world settings or something like that. For instance, because originally Attack on Gossip or Attack on Titan parody wasn't supposed to be worked on. It was actually supposed to be The Walking Barbecue, which is take The Walking Dead, and like the premise is Rick and gang, they're at Herschel's farm. So in order to demonstrate how thankful they are, they decide to throw a barbecue. And Rick and friends actually come across Clementine from the Telltale Walking Dead series, as well as, now, because this is a parody, I can get away with a lot. Like, it doesn't have to make any sense. In this version of the parody, Lori's alive, but like Rick and Lori are divorced, and he's with Michonne, the chick with the sword.
Okay.
And one of the funnier bits about the situation is Lori comes up to Rick. He confronts him, like asking why he chose Michonne, and Rick's like, "Well, unlike you, Lori, Michonne here has a nice firm butt. Show her your butt, Michonne. No.
Oh, what?
Yeah, this is
Interesting.
random funny shit.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah. The reason why Attack on Gossip had to be moved up in front is because honestly, like the final season is airing. Attack on Titan, the final season is the fourth and final season is airing, and I figure, oh, okay, let this run in tandem, and then let's see what happens, and let's see how people like it's just have fun with that. Speed of the Hill was another one where Speed Racer auditions for on a porn set, and then he ends up meeting Boomhauer from King of the Hill, and the two just talk really, really fast. And it just
This sounds like a pretty cool thing right here. Like, got a
yeah,
boom on your hands.
yeah, it's fun. It was a fun thing it was a fun thing to do. Like when I was a kid, I used to write like all types of funny fanfics. Nowadays I could just like straight up fucking do it. And that's exactly that's exactly why I actually got my hands on. I got my hands on. That's why I put out a job ad, and like Brittany answered, and thank God she did, because she really knows how to do like how my brain works, because some of the shit that she does, like whenever she adds her own mix into the animations, it just works really well. For instance, there was this cartoon I did, Jesus in an Alternate Universe, where where like one of the apostles comes up. He's like, Jesus, what are we gonna do? We only got like 2 loaves of bread and a handful of fish, and there are 5,500 hungry people. And Jesus is like, don't worry, I'll multiply it tenfold by praying and ordering Grubhub. Like her contribution to it was like, hey, use this holier than thou QR code and you'll get like 5% off or something. It's like fucking amazing. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Sound like a good time for you, man. It's the pandemic has been one of the best things for me. Just allowing the creative juices to flow
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So let me ask you, lead into 2021, even though we kind of went off on a rough start. What plans do you see yourself, like? Do you have any up and coming projects you got coming on? Where do you see yourself being towards the end of the year? Stuff like that.
Well, hopefully, before I want to say around like either May or June, our second video game should be released, Death TV. I have to release the demo. I'm actually going to release that demo fairly soon, in end of the week, if not sooner. I wish I could give a better date, but like I've been with all the shit that I have to do, But essentially, what I want is this company to really, like my company to really take off as like this multimedia thing that makes video games, does tutorials, makes animated parodies. One thing I really want to do is like stop the fucking Let's Plays. Oh my God. Nothing bad about the like, because like one of the best ways, like I did my R&D, Let's Plays are a quick and dirty source of views. Plus, it helps spread the brand. Same goes with the tutorials and shit like that. But while the tutorials, they were planned, kind of. I mean, like originally I didn't want to do it, but I just said, fuck it, why not? I'm just going to organize it as an actual class thing with some mini tutorials thrown in the mix. I never wanted I don't want the Let's Plays to be like a permanent thing. I intend to cut that shit off first chance I fucking get, because nothing wrong with that. I mean, like nothing wrong with the Let's Plays. I mean, I like it. It's just too goddamn time consuming to do the recordings, and they take up space on the fucking hard drive. Then you gotta edit the videos and shit like that, and that takes more time away that I could actually do for more like either game development or tutorials or lesson plans or writing the scripts or just overall managing the company, because pretty soon I'm gonna have to start talking to 2 other people to see if they'll come back to the company, because they had to take a leave of absence due to the fact that our first game was a bust. Oh my God. Here's the full context of the situation. The company was started way back in, like, I want to say 2015, 2016. Our first game was Insane Driving. It's a game, the gameplay loop was simple. Run over as many people as you can before time runs out. And we had like a wanted system. We had a radio. We had like fictitious radio ads, etc., etc. In fact, the read between the lines that NSA that National Gun Association radio that I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was that was actually going to be in Insane Driving. The problem with that is we had to cancel it because while the game was almost finished, the that white supremacist that ran into a group of counter protesters in Charlottesville happened. Then there were the two UK London Bridge terror attacks. Then there was all the other vehicular homicide attacks that went down, like for instance, and every now and again I'm just all like, maybe I should take it out of development now because the game is just sitting on my online hard drive gathering dust, and I'm just all like, maybe today's the day I can finally start talking about reviving Insane Driving. And then boom, those two New York cop cruisers ran into a bunch of Black Lives Matter protesters, and Governor Cuomo praised them for their restraint. And I'm just all like, oh, fuck you. So if I come out with that game right now, there would be so many people jumping down my throat, basically saying, oh, this guy just wants to run over lefties, or oh, this guy just wants to make the right wingers look bad. And I'm just like, no, this is the Insane universe. There's nothing controversial about it. It's just wacky, crazy fun.
Right.
So then we moved on to our other game, which is Insane Shooting. Insane Shooting had 3 game modes. The main first-person game mode, the Death TV game mode, and on-the-rails dating simulator with a gun. Insane Shooting is still in development. Same goes with Death TV. However, I decided to just release those 2 as separate. On the rails, on the other hand, God does not like. This is one of the things I'm like. God does not like me. Now, on the rails dating simulator with a gun was about it's a dating simulator. And you can date whoever you want to, whether it be male, female, or in that case, it was a talking bear because I like talking animals. Now the thing is, it had rail shooter elements. If you've ever played like House of the Dead or Time Crisis, you just go on a stupid path and then you shoot random bad guys. Right. Now the thing is, the original build for on the rails dating simulator with a gun was set in a high school. We came out with the gameplay trailer for it the day after Parkland, Florida went down. Ooh. After that school shooting, two of the team members straight up walked from the project. Unless one said they'd come back if I changed the entire setting around, and I did that. It took me 3 months to basically rewrite a ton of shit. Instead of it being set in a high school, I had to set it in a call center where the goal is you seduce one of your 6 supervisors to get a promotion. Thing is, though, when I debuted that new version of it, nobody liked it. So I was just all like, oh, that's just a ton of time wasted. So now I'm just working on Death TV and Insane Shooting. Insane Shooting is going to take longer because it's a full-on first-person shooter. Death TV, on the other hand, is top-down. It's kind of like, think Asteroids. Have you ever played Asteroids?
I have once when I was younger, but I haven't played it in so long. I kind of.
Well, all right, yeah, but like think kind of that control scheme, but like it's an action game. Like you just run around, you beat the boss, and that's it. And it's the commentators are Mitch McElroy, who is a 998-year-old talking turtle, and Paul O'Halloran, who's just some rando dude, and they both trade quips in and out of every level. So, yeah, that's essentially what I've been working on. And that is how all that context came into being. Yeah. talk about bad fucking luck. But in any case, by the end of this year, hopefully, Death TV is going to come out either May or June. That is a given. As far as the demo will be released sometime this week. But by the end of this year, I hope to get the Let's Plays out of the way, like once and for all. I just want them gone, done, and over with, so I can focus on actual original, like more and more original content and or animated parodies. Because Let's Plays, yeah, they're nice, but like I don't want them. No, you know what I mean?
All right. Yeah. Now, are these like But I'm forgetting the name, the different types of video. Is this would this be like a computer game, or would this be like something you have to, you could play on like Xbox or something like that? Do you have an idea?
Oh, Death TV. Well, to be fair, I am experimenting a little with a PS4 controller. I've never developed for a console before. It's always I wouldn't mind doing it because this isn't. The first game that was published was actually called Launch the Hipster. You just launch yourself at as many people as you can. That's out and about. It's just a physics game, but it's only for PC. Dev TV, on the other hand, I only want to develop it for PC. However, I have been coding with a PS4 controller and in and out, and I can I just don't know the how Sony's framework works. Like you can how it works, you essentially have to ask them, hey, can I publish this on your store or whatever? And even then, but I don't know if it'll actually be a thing now because like the PS5's out and that would be moot unless like the PlayStation Store goes from PS4 to 5. And if that's the case, I mean, I don't know if I don't know what the PS5 controller looks like, nor do I actually have any idea. Nor do I have any idea if Unreal Engine 4 or the current version of the engine that I'm using has PS5's controller support. So there's that I got to look into.
Man,
But like, hmm?
oh no, go ahead. I'll let you.
I don't know, but that's just no. I was just gonna say that's the way that particular cookie crumbles.
Wow. I never met someone who was into that kind of field. I've always been curious about it, but I'm just an on camera guy. I'm not so much well versed into like computer science and the aspects of it. But it sounds like a very fun, but could be a very stressful environment.
Mhm.
Would you say that's a fair assessment, or is it more fun for you because that's something you enjoy and you're passionate about?
Well, I mean, like, no, what you say is a fair assessment. If it can be stressful. Whenever I'm on a deadline, I start smoking like a goddamn volcano. So, I mean, like, yeah, um,
Wait,
it can be
what
really.
smoke are we talking about here?
Oh, like cigarettes. I
Uh,
did.
uh,
So to
uh,
be fair, I did vote for its legalization. I just do not like it myself. I know it's
uh.
weird. Yeah, I just hate what it does to me. Like it makes me all lazy and shit, and I really hate that. Yeah, it can be really fucking stressful. Don't get me wrong. If you've ever read, have you heard about Cyberpunk 2077 at all?
Yes, yes.
Have you heard the stories surrounding it, like the crunch time?
I didn't hear about the stories too much, but I heard there was some negative feedbacks about it. I know my brother talks about all the time on Facebook, but
Well, okay. So what the developers did, CD Projekt Red, they abused something called crunch time. It would usually involve the employees working 120 plus hour weeks, 6 days a week, nonstop overtime. The problem with that is it really does tire you out. I mean, like that, and it goes and it shows because the glitches in that game are so fucking real. I mean, for the record, I haven't come across anywhere near as many glitches because I'm playing. I played Cyberpunk on my new PC that I just recently got. I haven't experienced all those glitches. I mean, I've experienced some, like for now, like the video that I'm about to come out with, part 3 for my playthrough of Cyberpunk, actually has my like when I call you can call your vehicle and it's supposed to stop like right near you. Thing is, my car decided to just keep driving away from me, and I had to chase it. And I was actually having a blast doing it because it was fucking funny. But yeah, like it can be stressful. And the thing is, what sucks about it is anyone that tries to bring up how shitty the work environment is to their superiors. The superiors will always pull that one fucking card because they're just that guy. The card is this: they just go up to you and say, I think you should take some time to really appreciate the fact that you're actually working in this industry, considering how cutthroat the gaming industry actually is. do you really want to bring up your shitty work conditions or you just want to power through them? Yeah, that's what I
Right.
thought. Shut the fuck up and get back to work. Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, man.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's fucking A, man. It's a shit show. But like, what are you gonna do? I mean, you can try to like. There've been calls to like unionize, but that's not gonna go anywhere. Nobody wants. You fucking kidding me? Nobody's gonna let that happen.
Right.
There've been calls for like just boycotts, but like I looked at the recent numbers for Cyberpunk 2077. In this case, he sold like 13 million units. There's not life is just gonna go on, and they're gonna keep doing exactly the same thing that they're doing right now.
Of
It's a
course.
shame. It's fucked up. But what are you gonna? Well, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Oh no, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just a shame. It's fucked up. But what are you gonna do? But the thing is, I kind of figured that there was going to be this double-edged sword. See, when I first graduated with my master's degree and got my first teaching job, I didn't know I'd fall in love with actually teaching as much as I did, if that makes any sense. So as this company that I'm making is growing, I can see myself on this weird crossroads. On one end, if I continue with the company, then I basically have to forego my teaching career altogether. Because the thing is, once, like, let's say, for all intents and purposes, the company just blows up tomorrow, right? They're going to see all of the shit that I've posted in terms of like me making fun of Trump, all the animations, some of the radio commercials, which, to be fair, are very raunchy, to put it lightly. So people are going to be looking at me in that light instead of like the usual professional teacher mode that I go into. And on the other
Right.
hand, if I choose the teaching route, then I'm always going to be looking back on and say and ask myself what could have been. Have
Right.
you ever been in that kind of position, or am I just crazy for thinking that?
You're definitely in the right headspace because I'm going through that too. Where you know it's one of those things where you have to balance it. Like on it, when I talk about controversial issues, it's a fine line that certain aspects I can kind of cross, and there's some I know if I do cross the line, it can backfire.
Mm,
Especially if I say something wrong and my agent finds out about it, that's a big problem. So I do agree with you in that aspect. That's why I usually keep my social media stuff professional, and then anything outside of that is my own confines. Because yeah, man, like you said, like your projects, you have fun with it, but some people might take it the wrong way, and then find your way to your employer, or people that can give you opportunities, and then now it's it's putting you in a tough spot. But my advice to you would be is don't be afraid to have fun doing that. Like don't let that fear detract you from what you're doing, because if you do, then you're gonna always find yourself handcuffed. You're gonna feel like you're always in a police station all the time. So
mm,
it's definitely I usually just separate those kind of entities uh together, so I don't associate acting with my podcast. I might talk about it sometimes, but I usually keep that separate. Because but then again, we're seeing this time and time again where celebrities are getting canceled for stuff that they said years ago, or something that they made a comment about,
yeah.
and it's a tough spot to be in. But I, I would just say don't let it stop you from expressing yourself, because
Mm,
if you do, then you're gonna always find yourself like, man, what if I did this? And you don't want to be in that kind of headspace, always questioning your own um abilities. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Yeah. It's been a great conversation with you, Doug. And let me, just to cap it off, is there somewhere, because I know you do YouTube as well. I watched some of your videos. Is there any places people can find you and your projects so they could check it out and watch and get in tune with that?
Yeah, just go to Mad Hen House. Just search it up. We are the first search result on YouTube. And yeah, just comment, subscribe, and all that good jazz. That would actually help the company a lot. Don't The reason why we don't have an actual company website just yet, honestly, it's because it's money. It's all it boils down to. I don't have the that kind of money to do web hosting. In fact, like for instance, if you wanted to buy Launch the Hipster, it's only on Game Jolt right now. I don't even have enough money to put it on Steam Greenlight, and they only want $100. And I it's either money for Steam or money for Brittany Santana, or the animator. I would rather put that money towards Brittany because like she puts out more quality content, and as much
Right.
as and Game Jolt only wants what is it, 10 cents on the dollar for free game hosting. I will take that if that makes any sense. Yeah. But yeah, just go to Medhen House, like, comment, and subscribe. That would help the company grow like tremendous. And yeah, I am jealous of those shades. I love those shades.
Yo, it's part of my. I always got pairs of shades on me at all times. I usually carry around 3 to 4, and I always keep them. It just helps me with my presentation. I think it separates me from everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I post on YouTube, it's just a sense of style for me. Like, even though I'm talking and people can't see my face, even like if I decide to post stuff on YouTube, it's part of my brand. Like the hair and the sunglasses is all part of my. So yeah, I do all right. I
Yeah,
can't complain.
nothing wrong with that, man. Those are some good ass shades.
I
They
appreciate it.
really compliment you, dude.
Yeah, they cost like $6,000. No, I'm kidding. I think I stole it from somebody. No.
Disclaimer: you said it, not me. So.
Hey man, people was looting. I said I need some shade. Let me go find something real quick. No,
Why the fuck not? It was like, mm-hmm.
FBI watching. Let me stop playing. Oh God, I'm about to go to jail. Oh man, it was great talking to you, though. We had a good conversation. I'm glad you decided to come and talk about these issues because, you know, I know it can get controversial sometimes, but that's the beauty of it. I like it when people have different opinions. That's why I'm always looking for people with different mine says I don't want people to always agree. I want people who disagree, and we just come down and have a conversation and just find out because I'm learning about computer animations and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty cool what you do, and don't stop doing it. No matter how old you get, no matter how tough the road gets, to trust me, I'm in one of the hardest businesses out there, but as long as you keep enjoying it, keep doing it, man. And I see big things coming for you, man. You got your head on some good shoulders. So
Thanks.
keep doing what you're doing, man, for sure.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, let's wrap this up for the people, man. Thank you, Doug, for coming on to the podcast. I'm pretty sure I'll probably have you on again, talk about some
Thanks.
more issues going on. And like I always end the podcast, a helping hand is a better hand. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you for having me.